line cook in Denver, Colorado on. Ally, thanks for taking some time.
Of course.
I am excited to talk with you. So through a local Facebook group, we connected, I guess seems like forever ago, but about a month ago. And then we connected on as friends on Facebook. And so anyway, the reason that you're on the show this morning, I want everyone to know, is because I've been looking for people, what we call unsung hospitality heroes, the people that like grind it out day to day in the kitchen and in restaurants and throughout hospitality, that are really, especially in this moment, kind of spreading positivity in a very different way and being infectious in their positivity. We're taking those words and turning them into a weapon for good. And so you've been doing a lot of that. And so I really appreciate that. So I wanted to have you on the show. So thank you for that.
Of course.
And take us back. So it's been a month now, and you see what's happening. What's the communication going like within where you're working? Where's your head go? Just kind of take us back to that moment as far as COVID-19 shit is hitting the fan. It's going to get real for us in the industry.
Yeah. So it started, I want to say about a month ago. I work at a really nice golf and country club in Cherry Creek. And, we had pretty regular business even up until, the shutdown, even though everybody was a little bit worried. And then when the shutdown happened, we started doing takeout orders and pickups and, I guess same thing, and deliveries. We have our front of house people doing deliveries for free for the members that live, 2 miles or less away. And we've actually been staying pretty busy. This week, though, we've kind of slowed down a bit, but, it's really day by day. Like day before yesterday, we didn't do very much, but yesterday we did a lot. So, but no, things have been good for the most part. I'm not working as many hours as I normally would be, but my job is pretty awesome in the sense that, if we work over 20 hours, they are going to pay us for 40, which is amazing.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Talk about that. Let's hover on that for a minute, because two things that you just said. One, that the front house staff is getting an opportunity to deliver, because I think that's important. We talk a lot about what's happening right now. We very much focus on the food, and rightfully so. The food is an important part. It's nourishing, it's community, it's all those things, and having cooks stay busy is important. We a lot of times forget about the front of house staff. They right now, because of tips, and they are all about cash flow, it's even more challenging a lot of times for them. So I appreciate that you pointed that out specifically. And then second, that your job is taking care of you in that way. There's a lot of, we've had labor shortages, and there's animosity and people leaving the industry and not getting paid enough and livable wage, all these different arguments. And there's plenty of points on both sides of that argument. However, in this moment, feeling like you're taken care of by your job, when a lot of times we just feel like we're just getting ground down. Talk about that a little bit, because I think that's important. People need to hear that.
So we are very much a family at my work, and pretty much none of the club is open at all, except for our golf course is open for members to walk around now, and that just changed in the last week. But we're the brick and mortar right now because, the members have a fee that they have to come to every single month in order to stay a member. And we're kind of the only source of that right now. So my work, they haven't laid off anybody. If anything, one person was sick for a couple of weeks and they did not allow them to come in. And we have another person with that same situation going on. So, we may be one man short, but we typically do 2 people on the line, 1 chef, just to overlook and do stuff in the back too. And, front of house, we do have somebody, manning all the tickets and putting all the stuff in boxes and, into bags. And, and there's a food runner, technically, that helps with all of that. And they, switch off, and somebody also mans the phones. But no, it's really awesome. And they made the point to still pay us for 40 hours, even if we work 22 hours a week, just because we do have health insurance through my work, and they want to make sure we're getting, full-time hours for, so we don't have no more health insurance because it
So
would
you
go
stay
away.
with your benefits. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. I think that's really great. So talk about the interaction between the team right now, right? There's so much, you talk about family, there's so much camaraderie. There's also so much friction in a restaurant, in the day to day, and why are you leaving stuff on my station, or why'd you just touch my knife, or like, what's up with this crazy ticket? All these different little micro things that right now seem so silly, yet they consume our day to day. And now it feels like you're galvanizing in a way that maybe you never have before, because you're really in this together in this moment. So maybe talk about that within your family at work.
Yeah, so honestly, things aren't that crazy, but for our banquet staff, they've been doing a lot of grocery orders, and that can get really stressful. We even have one of our best dishwashers helping them with all the grocery orders, and another thing, we've been doing meals for Denver General Health, the hospital. So we
That's
do
great.
that as well, which, gets a little hectic just because, packaging everything. And thank goodness we're only doing the grocery stuff 2 days out of the week. But for on the line, it's funny you should bring up like, special weird orders. It doesn't seem like a big deal at all because it almost takes no effort. But we have this guy who every other day typically orders 3 hamburgers raw, not cooked. So I guess he can do them at his house, because honestly, if I were him, I wouldn't want to order a done burger, because the bun's going to be soggy and the fries are going to be soggy by the time I, get it to me. So, but yeah, that's one little thing. And then we have certain customers, like one of them, whenever she orders a hamburger, she literally wants about a half an inch thick red onion on her burger. And that's been kind of a regular thing, but you think about it and you're like, all right, lady, I guess we'll do this for you. But it's just, silly little things like that keep us on our toes, I guess you would
Yeah.
say.
It's almost like when you're in the heat of a service that feels like that's such an inconvenience. That in this moment, it's just like, oh, her again. I love her.
Yeah.
Her and her giant thick cut red onion. I would love nothing more than to give you this strange thing that is going to make your day. So I really like that a lot. So another thing, when I'm thinking about what you all are doing right now, I think about how you're able to continue working and the normalcy that creates for you, even though it's odd and it's different and you're creating these special orders and things like that. I also am thinking about the practicality of delivering the product. And so you mentioned the guy wanting to cook his own burger,
Yeah.
right? So for you, how have you had to rethink a little bit, or what are you guys doing in the kitchen to recognize that delivery is a challenge? And if you're using your own delivery or using third party, whatever it is, a lot of people I talk to, the food it gets there cold. It's because it's just such a challenge. It's so outside the norm. The flow is a little bit awkward and off. And so how are you guys thinking about that as far as what food you have on your menu, and how you guys are not putting the burger on the bun, even if it is cooked, things like that? Anything practical that you guys are doing?
Well, we do tend to have our food like ready at least 15 minutes prior to, the actual delivery time. So we put it up and they literally take it right then. And we keep everything under heat lamps before they actually take it out. And sometimes if it's, a lot of to go orders at once, we will put stuff in the hot box to make sure that it's nice and warm. And, like I said, the 2 mile radius is very important to us, because, if it's more than, you say, 10 minutes away, it's just not worth it for us to do it. We would rather them just come to the club and pick it up themselves. But I mean, there's not too much we do different, because we are kind of a higher class club, and we kind of, we've always had these high standards on how we do things, and just try to keep with all of that because the guests are used to it. And it's a little bit different than dining in, of course. Everything's not piping hot, but we do try our best. And, if anything, we undercook our steaks a little bit, and we undercook, fish and that sort of thing. And if they need to reheat it, they can reheat it. But we have had zero complaints, honestly, so far. So we're obviously doing a decent job.
That's good. I like hearing that. Are you doing any meal kits? I know a lot of places doing meal kits where you can kind of almost like a Blue Apron or Home Chef where you can finish things at home for yourself.
Yeah, so that's our grocery aspect of my
Okay.
work. We'll like have pre-sliced roast beef and turkey, and then have like a big pile of asparagus that's not cooked in the middle, and get like some mashed potatoes on the side and whatnot. And so we'll package that all together. And I think we also do like raw whole chickens, or we might cook them most of the way and then, give them instructions on how to reheat it. And we do them in really fancy like black bags, and we kind of make it an experience for the member and everything like that. And they've been loving that lately. And I almost think we should do it more often, but it is quite expensive. And I mean, they're willing to pay it because, like I said earlier, they have to meet their quota for every month. So, yeah, they have to do that. But I was
Well,
also,
here's what I'm interested when I hear you talking about that is sometimes in hospitality and restaurants, food and beverage, when people are coming to us, we have full control over that potential experience, right? And so we're managing the timing and the flow and pairings and what the food is and the composition, the plates and portions and everything. We control everything about that. Yet now we're not in control of every single aspect because it's going to them. So sometimes we're having to simplify the way that the expectations that we're setting. And to your point, you're going to have to give them instructions. And sometimes we're actually not very good at giving instructions because we can sit there and watch and control the process. And so now we're having to teach somebody who has no preconceived notions of what it takes to cook. Do you see that being a value of just the way we're simply being able to communicate what delicious food ends up like?
yeah, I mean, so for the most part, our guests are a lot older, and, they have some experience with all of this, cooking wise and whatnot. They just find it easier, especially in these times, to, order pre-cooked food. But I think it's just really cool that we can, kind of guide them in a direction if they do buy, the half cooked, or, whatever it might be, grocery, family meal for that day. But I was gonna say something. Gosh dang it.
It was going to be the best thing ever. I know it. I just think that the way that now we don't have all of the experiential elements at our fingertips, right? The way that we can just wow people and dine them in a way that creates this memory. We don't quite have that. And so I'm very fascinated in the way that we are just simply trying to get the food to the people to like nourish them and create some kind of emotional stability and like that experience. And it's a challenge for us sometimes because we so are in control of that. So I'm very fascinated by that process. And I continue to ask people about that. It's like, it's just about feeding your family and cooking with your family. And so I think I'm fascinated in that quite a bit. So for you personally, then you're in a good situation. I can't even call it that, but a good situation compared to a lot of people in the industry. I mean, I know you know that. I can tell how thankful you are for that. And so talk about then what you're doing for yourself personally in your time, because you do have more time to kind of take a moment for yourself.
Yeah, so I'm actually in the process of moving right now into a house versus an apartment.
Okay.
Um, I've been doing, I've been
Is that
cleaning.
exciting or scary? Or
It
both?
it's a little bit scary, but because with money and everything, I'm gonna have to tie some loose ends and really buckle down. And it's very soon. And but the cool thing about my work is, since we're not so busy, I am able to take about a week off at the end of this month to be able to completely prepare. And, if this wasn't going on, I'm pretty sure I would have only been able to take about, 3 or 4 days off. And so I'm really, really grateful for the slowness, I guess, in order to, get my head all together and get it all wrapped around exactly, what I need to get done, and actually get it done in a, and might even mostly unpack everything before I have to go back to work.
Yeah.
I've also been, kind of not as much as I really would like to, but I've been focusing on my guitar playing and, singing and whatnot, because that is a big passion of mine. And honestly, if I had more time off, I would focus on it almost completely. And because it's a big dream of mine to actually push forward with that sort of thing. I just literally, in the restaurant industry, you don't have a lot of time to have a hobby because you're so tired or you're working all the time. And, hours are a big question mark because you don't really know when you're going to go in and come out and whatnot. So it's, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
mess.
It's also the emotional investment. I mean, you're investing all of yourself in every moment. There's not downtime, right? So you're going at 100 for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever a shift ends up being.
Yeah.
And so you are just completely, physically is one thing. Like physically, I feel we could get over. The mental and emotional exhaustion is massive. And a lot of people don't understand that. And so at the end of that, you just need to turn off. And so to be then creative, you also have been spending a lot of time being creative.
Yeah.
So you're thankful for this time to be able to have those moments to be able to create your art form. And so talk about that, because you weren't doing that. And so what was the transition point where you said, fuck it, I have to do this. Like I'm compelled in this moment to be creative in this way.
Well, when this all first started about a month ago, my job did really, really slow down because people weren't used to the new system. And I only worked 3 days that week. So, during on all my time off, I was like, I have to do this. I am so bored. I can't sit around here and just watch Facebook videos or, do whatever to, ease my mind, I guess, in a sense. So, it had been a while since I actually had practiced. And it's really funny because for me, whenever, I have a bunch of songs saved away that I have played at open mic nights. I've played, just practicing, or I've played years ago and I still remember. But for me, music, I pick up my guitar and it's like I never stopped. And I'm one of those people who can sing and play at the same time, which I guess tends to be pretty difficult for some people. And that's how I taught myself. So, I picked it back up and I looked up a couple new songs, and I was pretty proud of myself for being able to learn, some new stuff and different chords and that sort of thing with complete ease, but not 100% because I'm not perfect.
Sure.
But I also did want to chime in just one more thing about work and also music and that sort of thing. I tend to focus myself completely on work just because I do have bipolar and anxiety and depression and borderline personality disorder. So, work is the one thing that I focus on that really helps me get through a lot of the stuff that I deal with at home versus work. So I'm definitely what you would say a workaholic. I try to do my best at work and focus on just that. But when the whole aspect of coming home comes into play, I do tend to sleep a lot. I do tend to stay up all night, and it's hard because you get off of work at, 10 o'clock at night and you're like, well, I'm awake. Like most people get off at 5 and then, go to sleep by 9. And it's basically the same thing if I'm going to bed at 2 a.m., on that night. But
yeah, you find it's interesting, and I appreciate you sharing that. I think that's important for people to hear. It's our industry is so prone to mental health issues, highest prone to addiction, things like that. And it's always such a contradictory moment because it is such an outlet for us to be a part of this band of rebels, this island of misfit toys. Like we fit in there. Our type of crazy works in the place. It's just like the energy keeps us so focused on a singular goal that I think it's really, really valuable in that way. At the same time, it is so depleting. It is so all in, all or nothing that sometimes it leaves no room for our own stability. And so it's always a thing. I talk about it for myself too, with having had addiction issues and waking up in my car multiple times and, being hot and cold with staff, all these different things. And we all have those stories. Yet when we get the perspective on like why we do what we do and who it is we serve versus what we do and the minutia of it, I feel like you find those moments of levity. And so I'm excited for you and for all of us that we actually are being forced into moments of reflection. And do you feel like now you have less time to focus on that singular thing that keeps you maybe out of your head a little bit? Is this time good for you, or are you finding it challenging because you have too much time for yourself?
Honestly, I am appreciating what I have right now more than ever, just because, I mean, I have not had this much time to think about a lot of things in a really, really, really long time. And it, like you said, it is a good reflection time. And, we need to be mindful in these, kind of times right now. And especially if you're going out for groceries or whatnot, thankfully at work, I can pretty much make whatever I need to if I am, I don't have food at my house that night. But it's a really good time to think about everything that you've been going through and how much work you've been putting in and how you really can, wind down a little bit and, like you said, reflect on the things you might be able to focus on right now at hand instead of, being antsy and being like not happy or drinking all day like I know a lot of my friends have been doing. And fortunately, I can't do that because I'm on probation for a DUI that happened 2 years ago. So I see why they're doing it, but it's one of my friends, a bartender, and literally all day on her Facebook from like 3 p.m. until, whenever she goes to sleep, she's making a different cocktail. She's doing this. She's taking shots with friends on her story. And, I get it, but we don't need to encourage everybody to do that all the time.
Yeah, it's just balance. And we, as an industry, as individuals, we suck at balance. We really do. We suck at it. We are just so, again, we're all in, all or nothing all the time. We're go, 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 or we're completely shut it down. And a lot of times, alcohol and substances are the way to just like shut down as quickly as possible. And so I definitely feel that balance is really an important word. And creating some momentum for ourselves also is something that I'm really appreciating more. And then another word that's been is grit. We have so much grit in this industry that we just find a way to get shit done, to make it happen. Like we like bad news more than no news. Like we we get bad news all the time. We're long on this table. What happened to this? You're not coming up together. Like we thrive on it in some weird masochistic way. And so balance, I think balance is going to be the important thing that I'm hoping we find some balance coming out of this. So I really appreciate that. And so music for you is creating that balance. And I really appreciate that. So I want to get some playlist items from you, because whatever music is giving you balance, I need some of that in my life, Ally.
Honestly, I have been looking at newer stuff, but I've also been kind of throwing it back to some of my favorites. Like I'm a huge Amy Winehouse fan, and been listening to her kind of stuff, and what she went through with addiction and, how things ended very tragically. And, I don't know, just lyrics and, melodies and whatnot. It inspires me a lot because she was going through a really hard time, and it's a rough time for us right now, and a lot of people are feeling the same way. And so it's a good bunch of songs to really, really think about deeper than just hearing on the radio or whatnot. And I've also been throwing it back to a lot of 70s and 80s classic rock, just because it's good stuff that, it always gets you in a good mood. It might not talk about everything that's going on, but there's a lot of depth that people really don't see in those kind of songs. And, some of my favorite bands are, they they're on every playlist that I look up, classic 80s rock or classic 70s rock. And, it's also what my dad grew me up on. And, he passed away about 11 years ago. So it's another way for me to really have like a heart at heart, without, uh, without him being here and whatnot. So on my way to work, I blast all kinds of music. Another favorite of mine has been Cake. I know all of their songs, but a lot of them are actually really relatable and just like good to groove with. And, every morning I tell Siri in my car, I'm like, play some music I would like. And a lot of the time she'll play, stuff that's in my playlist or in my songs. And a lot of the time she'll just surprise me with random songs. So it's kind of a cool balance when I get to go in my car and just go anywhere. I always do that. Make sure I have some type of music that, makes me feel good on the way to wherever I'm going.
I like too that you're pulling from all kinds of different styles and genres and eras as well, from hairband ballads to really introspective, deep and dark Amy Winehouse, to like rolling bass lines of Cake. I like all those things.
Yeah.
Now I know I'm going to listen to some Cake and be like, yes, I remember just grooving to this. There's like never a moment where I'm not like, what, a Cake song is exactly right for now. Like, it's always good. I really like that. And so talking about your music, and again, this is one of the things that really turned me on to like wanting to get you on the show, is that we're all struggling through all this, and you went straight to art and creativity. And I just fucking love creative people. No matter what your medium is, if you're a creative thinker and you have a way to put that out in the world, I'm a fan. No matter what, I'm a fan. And so you went to that very quickly. And I could also tell it was from a post I saw very early on, you were a little like, not hesitant, but just unsure. You're like, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's literally what this show, the live show, is. I don't know what I'm doing, but I need to communicate. So I'm going to do it in the way that I know how, which is talking to humans. And so you did that through picking up your guitar. So would you please pick up your guitar for us and play a little something? Because I want people to hear, and I want you to have this moment to be creative for us.
All right. I'm going to get some feel goods in here, because it kind of, in a sense, kind of the chorus gets to what's going on right now. So I thought that this was a good fit. This is Float On. Just the chorus kind of, as it goes, we'll all float on, okay? And in this time, with everything going on, we're going to be okay. We just have to go with the ocean right now. So
Flow On by Modest Mouse, yeah?
Float On. So, all right. And I'm just going to do a little snippet. So here we go. I backed my car into a cop car the other day. Well, he just drove off. Sometimes life's okay. I ran my mouth off a bit too much. Oh, what can I say? Well, you just laughed it off. It was all okay. And we'll all float on, okay. And we'll all float on, okay. And we'll all float on, okay. And we'll all float on anyway.
I love it. I got I'm ready for the show. I'm ready for Ally, right here. I really appreciate that. Just a couple seconds of that. I love that song. Love acoustic guitar, all those things, but none of that matters as much as like just the look on your face of being able to sing that. That's like the purest form of communication that we can have. It's just you being you in that moment. So thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Keep playing guitar. It's like so important to me that people keep doing what makes them happy and brings them some balance. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Great conversation. I thank you very much for just inspiring me. I think it's too easy for us to get caught up in our own shit and the day to day and all the things that are going on. To your point, just watching Facebook and all that stuff. And for me, just the half an hour that I get to talk to another human in our industry and be inspired by them it makes my day. So thank you for that. And I hope some people listen to some 80s ballads and some Modest Mouse, and some Amy Winehouse, and some Cake. That would mean the world. So appreciate you.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. So I hope you have a good rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, and thank you for the private concert, just you and me. It was
Of course,
great.
of course.
All right, take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I love it. Just having an opportunity to create a moment for people to do what they do, what they love, and show some depth. And again, the balance is an important word in this moment, and for her to be able to share the joy that she has of her family at work and what they're doing right now and how they're galvanizing and how they're still motivated. And the fact that their restaurant, their group is taking care of them and paying them 40 hours, all these things. And then being able to say, just pick up your guitar. I really don't know anything better than that as a human being. And so, again, I just will continue to say that I'm grateful for the opportunity to share stories from somebody like Ally, because I think it's the best. The most important thing happening right now in our society is Ally playing acoustic guitar. I truly believe that. And every version for every individual of them picking up their guitar and being able to express themselves and have a moment to connect with themselves and somebody else, that's it. That's it. That's all we do as humans. In restaurants, it's all we do is create those micro interactions that create a moment, a memory. I love it. The fact that Ally, hasn't been on a show like this or whatever a show like this even means. But, I just appreciate the opportunity to invite people from every level of our industry, all types of humans in hospitality on, and be able to speak with them and be able to share them with you, with me. I love it. I really do. So thanks as always. I appreciate you. Let me see what's happening. Oh, tomorrow's shows. Tomorrow I got 2 shows. We're catching up with Eric Cacciatore, who is unbelievable, the host of Restaurant Unstoppable. He's based out of Austin, travels around the country talking and capturing great stories of mentorship within the restaurant industry. And he's got an amazing voice. I'm excited to talk to him tomorrow, where you're going to find me like trying to drop down an octave to be even deeper and more sultry. And I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but it's going to be fun. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to be a communicator in the way that we do through a podcast, where we know we've all paused our normal programming and doing something a little bit different, because in this moment, it just feels like something different is needed from us. So I'm also very interested in what we do coming out of this to get back to the more in-depth platforms that we potentially want to bring back or recreate. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then also Nelson Perkins will be on at the 11 a.m., the second time slot. We're going to catch up with him again. The interwebs are working for him. So Nelson Perkins is the former chef owner of a couple restaurants in Denver, iconic restaurants. So we're going to catch up with him and see what's happening from his perspective, having recently, before COVID-19, shut down restaurants, and maybe has a little bit more of an outside perspective, looking in and seeing what's happening within the industry. I'm excited about that as well. All right, everyone, be good. Appreciate you as always. Go do something creative today. Go do you, whatever that is, and go listen to some music.